So, the other day, I was kind of hungry and I thought I would make a cake. Does anyone here like cake? Yeah? Yeah? Have you guys ever made a cake? Yeah?
I make cupcakes.
Okay, so I was making a cake, and so I had to get out the ingredients, right? So I got out the flour, the eggs, the butter, and then I had to get out the tools. So, I got out measuring cups and a hammer. A hammer? Does that sound right?
No.
Would you use a hammer to make a cake? No. That's right, because it's really important to get the right tools out, right, guys? Because you can't use a hammer to make a cake. So kind of like that, I'm going to talk today why it's important to use the right tool to measure things, because it's really important in life. So I'm going to start by showing you our smallest measuring tool. Can anyone tell me what this is?
A ruler.
That's right, it's a ruler. And how many inches are in a ruler?
12.
That's right, so there's inches on one side, centimeters on the other. And this is really good for measuring small things, right? So let's say we want to measure this glue stick here. We could put it up to the bottom of the ruler, line it up, and we'd see, oh, it's just over 3 inches, right? Or this little eraser here. We could measure that it is almost 5 inches. So that's one way we can use it. The next bigger tool we can use is a yardstick. Have you guys ever looked at a yardstick?
Yes.
Yeah? Can anyone tell me how many feet are in a yardstick? Yeah, Geneva? 36 inches, that's right. Yeah, so there's 36 inches, and how many feet? Yeah, there's 3 feet, that's right. So this is better for bigger things, because you don't have to lay out a ruler 3 times. You can just use a yardstick. So let's say we want to see how tall this table is. We could line it up, and we could put our finger there to measure, and put it right there at the bottom. See that it's, I think that was 40 inches, right? So we could use it to measure smaller things. There are things that are larger than like the glue stick, the ruler, but things that are like smaller than, let's say, the wall, because they might be a little difficult to put a bunch of yardsticks up. So what could we use to measure something like the wall? Does anyone know? Yeah, you want to take it?
A meter.
A meter stick could work,
Tape measure.
Tape measure, that's right, because it's like a giant yardstick, and it's kind of more portable. So let me see, where's my...
And it goes all the way to one finger.
Goes all the way to one finger?
No, it goes way. It goes to a.
Well, it definitely depends on the tape measure, because they can vary. But this one, if you see, it says 25, and then it has a little apostrophe, and that stands for feet. So this one is 25 feet. So the tape measure can be helpful for different things. It's really nice because you can measure really large spaces. You just keep going as far as you need. And what's also nice about the tape measure is if you have to measure something tall, you can lock it like this and measure all the way up without having to reach.
Yeah, because like it moves around.
Yeah, so it can go higher and you can lock it in place.
Oh, yeah, like that.
Yeah, it's also flexible, like you saw. It moves around, like you said,
that
Ani.
happens a lot. Like
Yeah, so it's also nice if you want to measure something that's rounded. Let's say, like, sometimes when you're shopping for a pair of pants, they're measured by the waist size and you know how many inches. But could you use a yardstick to measure your waist? No, it doesn't really bend easily, right?
You have to.
So what's nice about a tape measure is it's a little clunky, but it bends. So you can go all the way around.
They have something different that's not a tape.
Yeah, they have softer ones.
It's
so
really loud.
it does click loud, but it's kind of useful for things like that. So mostly, but the main thing about the tape measure is it's good for measuring really large things like a wall, the ceiling, maybe a giant rug, things like that.
A giant rug.
A giant rug, yeah.
Like this one. It's huge. Like this one.
Can you hear me clap once? Can you hear me clap twice? Okay, so now we're going to practice this a little bit. So when I tell you to, I'm going to send you guys back to your seats, and we're going to work at our tables with our partner near us, or maybe a group of 3 if there's not an even number. and I'm going to give you guys a sticky note. And the sticky note has an object on it, and it could be a small object, it could be a large object, it just depends. And then on the board, I'm going to write different categories here. So I'll put them up so you can see. The first one is, what was that first tool that we used? Ruler, right, guys? A ruler. And then the second one? Yardstick. And then the third one? Tape measure, right. So, you and your partner are going to talk about the object and see what tool would be best to measure it. And then, when I call your table up, you can come and put it in one of the categories. Or, sometimes you can use more than one object, like something that's kind of in between, like a couch. Maybe you could use a yardstick to measure the couch, but maybe it's a really big couch and you need to use a tape measure. So, it just depends. And if you think it could be used for either, you can put it right on the line, okay? Or if you think it goes in a category, put it there. But talk about it with your partner and see which category you think it would fit. Alrighty, does everyone understand what we're doing?
Yes.
Alright, Abra? You guys go. Can you guys take a seat for me first? Can you guys take a seat? Okay, Kason, can you work with your partner, Audrey? Yes, your table partners. Oh, that one's blank. Oh yeah, you guys want one? Because you are sitting next to Michelle. So you guys because I want you guys to
She gets to call you.
You can work in a group with Greg Cornelia. So you want to work with Kate here and Connor? Now yes, so take if you can hear me clap once, if you can hear me clap twice. Okay, so I want you guys and your partners to talk about which category you think it falls under, okay? And then I'm going to dismiss you guys as tables to come up and stick it on the board, okay? Does everyone understand?
Yeah.
Alright, thanks guys. You're already done? Okay, hold on a sec. Let's give everyone a chance. You guys are ready?
How is it? Hands an inch bigger.
Okay, are you guys ready? This table?
Yes.
Alright, you guys may come and stick on the board and then take a seat on the carpet. Don't forget your sticky note. You may stick it in this table. Everyone at this table done.
Oh, no,
You guys are ready? Okay, you guys can come up.
You put this one.
You give the one that I gave you. But thank you, that's smart. We're going to have a chance to work. You guys may come up if you're done.
Okay, Just measure it. It's a bus.
Right.
I'm small, but I got a car. A car. We got a car. I'm from the city. We got busy. Are you still playing Blubber?
Okay.
Blubber.
Jason and Hank, can you guys join us on the carpet, please? You guys can take a seat for me, please. Thank you. Okay. All right, guys. So now we're gonna go over them. So let's talk about it. So the first one, a pair of scissors. That would be right for a ruler, right? Because it's less than 12 inches. A backpack, ruler would be helpful for that. Crayon, crayon's pretty small. A computer, yeah, you could use, depends on the size of the computer, but yeah, a ruler would be good to measure that. Calculator, that's pretty small. And a shoe, that's right, because a shoe, it's even called a foot, right? So it's about a foot. Okay, yardstick, a little empty, but we have some that go for both a tape measure and, oh, look at how silly I am. I put a tap measure. That is silly. Tape measure. All right. So the first one we have here is a table. So that's right, guys, that you can use a yardstick or a tape measure for the table. It just depends on the size, right? And then the other one's a couch. Just like the example I talked about, you could use either depending on the size. And then the final one, the tape measure, so a car. That's right, because the car is pretty big, right? So that might be a lot of yardsticks. It might be hard to like measure and then put your finger at the end and then move it again. It would be kind of difficult, right? So tape measure makes sense. A bus, similar. And then a fence, right? Because a fence can be super long. Thank you, James. Okay, so that's really good work, guys. That's some nice practice with those. So next thing we're going to work on is a worksheet. So when I dismiss you guys, you're going to go back to your tables, and you guys can work on it as a group or by yourself, whatever you want. And these are your blueprints. Wait, hold on. I think I forgot something. Something's missing. Okay, that's better. We're going to be working on a construction project. Okay? So we're going to pretend Mates is building a new building next year, and we really need your help, okay? Because when you're building, what's really important, right? Measuring. Measuring is super important. Has anyone ever heard the phrase measure twice, cut once? Yeah? You might not have heard it, but that's a phrase that they use a lot in construction because measuring is so important. Because if you cut it to the wrong size, then you're out of luck. So measuring is super important. That's why it's important to know whether you should use a ruler, a tape measure, or a yardstick. So for each of the objects, there is like a line that shows you the thing that's being measured. So this one says wood plank, and it shows you the wood plank that you're measuring. This one says screw, and it shows you where you're supposed to be measuring. And this isn't the actual size. This is just a picture of it. So then you just are going to write on the line whether you think it is a yardstick, ruler, or tape measure. Everyone know what we're doing? Yeah, any questions? Yes, Janita.
So the groups that we were working in, like for this just now.
You can work on your own, yeah. Just stay in your seats in your immediate group, please. Thank you. All right. Abra? Blake, are you still class helper? No. No?
Wow.
Hey. Can you help me see that?
You can't. You have to work with the same exact person and No, you when you say that you're tables, you have to stay in your seat. And you're just working on it by yourself. Yeah, guys, when you have to work your nose, you just so you have to stay in your seat, right?
Yeah, just
So
stay.
you're only allowed to work on your table. Not okay. No, it has to be at your table. You have to stay in your. Yes, Henry. Did you listen to directions? Did you actually?
If you can hear me, put your hands on your head. If you can hear me, cross your arms. If you can hear me, clap once. Kate had an excellent question. Kate, do you want to repeat your question? You want me to say it? Okay, Kate asked if it can fit under more than one category, like we did on the board. You can write both of them and put like slash or just put both. Or you could put either or, it doesn't matter. So, everyone got it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah, you guys can do that. That's okay. You guys can work. You guys can move around a little bit if you want.
No, you don't really need help.
If you don't need help, then you feel free to work on your own. You're all done?
I did the same thing.
Alrighty. You can read your book and hold tight for a
I
second.
did the same thing. I wrote tap.
Tap. Yeah, that's a common mistake because it's the hard vowel A. Working on it. You guys got it?
Are we allowed to work by ourselves?
You can work by yourself if you want. Keep going, Michelle. Good? You finished? Good job. All right, hang tight. Tell everyone to
So easy.
too easy. Oh, that's good because you got it. You got it now. Not yet. We're going to go over it.
Oh, those type of shoes are like the door. Oh. They're about 1 inch. Yeah.
That's good.
What's this? Oh, door.
Sometimes windows can be super tall.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, so you definitely need to take this for that.
Then I noticed that it was right there. It's just this one.
How's it coming? You guys? You on the third one? You're on the fourth. Nice.
That is because he's working on the
Hey, boys and girls, I thought of one more thing. Can you guys make sure you put your name at the top? I know there's not a spot for your name, but can you put your name and number, please? Remember to do that.
I already did. I'm wondering if I don't put it a wall. I mean, it's fun.
You all done? Hang on to it. We're going to go over it in just a minute.
This is a tape measure. Tape measure. Tape measure.
Are you all done. Can you work with it on with Abby on it?
It's this big. If it's
Abby
this
might
big,
have a partner. Do you want to have a partner to work on yours?
a wall. Definitely.
Eva is
A wall would be definitely a tape. Unless it's a doll.
Thanks for working on it, Geneva.
Hammer would be a really might be like
Sarah,
a window.
Yeah,
Do the other side too. Hey, there's another side too.
if you can hear me, touch your nose. If you can hear me, put your hands over your on your head. If you can hear me, snap. If you can hear me, clap. Can we clap twice? Okay. So how many people are done? Can you raise your hand for me? If you're finished with it? Yeah? Oh, okay. It's all right if you're not quite done, but we're going to go over it now, okay? So if everyone can go back to your seat and get out the worksheet.
This is the one I'm not.
So we're going to go over it quickly, okay?
You're not sure what the door to.
So, who can tell me what number 1 is? Geneva? Oh, sorry. Can you tell me what the object is?
A piece of wood plank.
That's right, yeah, it's a wood plank. So, this one, because the guy is carrying over his shoulder, tells us that it's a pretty big wood plank, right? Okay. So, who can tell me what we would use to measure this? Yes, Marley.
A yardstick or a tape.
Yardstick or tape measure, okay. Alrighty, so, then number 2. Who can tell me what number 2 is? It's a screw, right. Does anyone know what a screw is for? Blake?
Drilling stuff.
That's right, yeah, you're drilling stuff when you're doing construction. So,
Hold things in place.
yeah, it holds things in place, right, Amelia? So, who can tell me what we'd use to measure a screw? Yeah, Jason. A ruler, that's right, because it's pretty small. They're usually only a couple inches, if that. Okay, who can tell me what number 3 is?
I think it's pretty big. A door.
That's right, it's a door. I know it's a little tricky to see, but it says door at the bottom here. So, who can tell me what we measured? Yeah, Isabella?
A tape measure. Sometimes be big like that.
Yeah, they can be pretty big. That's right. Is there something else that we can use to measure a door? Audrey? Yeah, a yardstick could work because they're about 3 feet. So sometimes doors can be like 6 to 7 feet. So a yardstick would work. Do you have a question, Kate? No? All right, let's flip it over. What's number 4? What object is it? Anyone tell me? Geneva? It's a wall, that's right. So, what would you use to measure a wall? Marley? Tape measure, right. It's pretty big, so a yardstick would be kind of difficult because you have to keep moving it, versus a tape measure is really quick. All right, number 5, Hendrix. The hammer, that's right. And what would you guys use to measure a hammer? Ainsley? A ruler or a yardstick, yeah. Sometimes they can be really big, like a sledgehammer can be really big, and a yardstick would be nice, but usually they're pretty small, and a ruler would work. Okay, and then the very last one is Ani.
A window, and you could use a yardstick.
Yeah, you could use a yardstick or a ruler, or even if it's really big, what could you use?
A tape measure.
Tape measure, right, guys? All right. Well, thanks for your help on the construction project. Now we can start building. So thank you, guys. You want them to put in completed work? Yeah. All right. Can you put in? Oh, Kate, will you collect it for me, please? Thank you.
join me back on the carpet, please?
Male princesses. Aren't you on?
30 minutes till recess. Yeah, doors can be all different sizes. Yeah, if it's like a small
Wait, try and get in the door.
All right, my friend. So the next thing that we're going to do, thank you Audrey, and thank you Isabella for your attention. The next thing we're going to do is